It is, of course, time for How Not to Be an Idiot with Frankie, Sarah, and Saul.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you all.
Hey.
Can you all hear each other?
Yes.
No.
I can hear you, Frankie.
I can hear you, Frankie.
I
hear you.
Oh, I can't hear or see either of them.
Can you hear or see me?
I can see you and hear you, yeah.
We had this problem earlier with Stace and Barry, that she couldn't hear Barry, but she could hear me. If you leave the room and come back,
okay,
sometimes that just kicks it back in again.
Cool, I'll be back in a sec. I'll refresh.
The joys of live streaming and modern technology and multiple people all coming together.
It's a real shame that Sarah and I are just the window dressing. Otherwise, we
I
could actually
know.
do something while we're waiting.
Smile and look nice.
Got some distortion noise coming from one of you two.
Is that
as well.
me?
Might be. Maybe it was just your wire on your mic.
Hard to tell. Right. Keep everything very still.
Well, for those who are just joining us, How Not to Be an Idiot did their first SuperPod in Southampton. Not with Saul, though. You went on the then. New face this time. We're one out, one in.
You won't notice much of a change.
Well, hopefully we'll get Frankie back in a second and you guys can get started. I just wanted to give an update on the total whilst we can. We mentioned we hit £100 in the last show. We are now currently standing at 250. So we have more than doubled our total in the last 5 to 10 minutes. So thank you very much for anyone who's donated in that time. If you haven't, you still can. Go to superpod.co.uk, hit the big donate button on the front page, and you will be able to donate there. And please gift aid as well if you're a UK taxpayer, so we get that extra 25% on top. So we are now a quarter of the way to our target, and we've got until midnight to try and get there. Okay, so bear with us 1 second. I don't know where Frankie has gone. She's not come back. She's decided not to do it.
She's had enough. She's left me and Saul.
Here she comes. I can see her name, if not her face. Oh, and there's the noise to say she's back. Maybe it's my network now. Here she can. Oh, no, I literally tried to bring her in and she just disappeared.
That was a tease, wasn't it?
So, whilst we wait for her patiently, guys, do you want to tell people who might be joining in or might be listening who have not heard your podcast before? Do you want to explain what it's all about?
Yes. So myself, Frankie, and ex-member, or not ex-member, Matt Leave, co-host Hannah, started this podcast, 3 years ago now? Hi, Frankie. Basically because we spent a lot of our time together moaning about idiots.
Hey!
I'm not sure Frankie can hear me.
Speaking
I can
of,
hear you.
There we go. That's
Good.
well. I just started a
Hey!
conversation just while we were waiting. So I will now back away and say, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy How Not to Be an Idiot.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was what? Who has got that back feet? That back noise is bad.
I think it's when Saul moved.
Saul, stop moving.
I'll do what I can.
Wow. Okay. It sounds great. I cannot hear anything over that. Oh, it stopped. Cool.
Saul
Hi,
unplugged
everyone.
his headphones.
Great. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to the How Not to Be an Idiot podcast. Eventually, we got here. Hooray.
Ah,
I'm Frankie. We're going to do introductions of each other in a second.
Frankie.
Sarah, while we're waiting for Frankie to come back, have we still got the horrifying noise?
No, you're good now. Have you unplugged?
Yeah. I've given up on that connection, and it looks like the other connection's given up on Frankie.
I hear you.
You're back. Hello.
Hi, guys.
I don't know what's going on today. Hi. Not to be an idiot with your Wi-Fi connection for a live show. I don't know the answer to that one.
No, me neither. IT man.
No, not our thing. How are you both doing?
Good.
Very well, thanks.
Good. Well, for everyone else, hi, welcome to the How Not to Be an Idiot podcast. We'll try that again. And I think it's time maybe we all introduced each other.
Yes.
So, shall I? Are you going to go first?
Yeah, I can do.
Sure.
So Frankie is the heart of the podcast, I would say, basically because she does everything.
Although it would be dead otherwise if I didn't. That's why what you mean by heart.
Yeah, absolutely. She does the editing. She organises us. She's excellent. So Frankie's one of the people who's Frankie's gone.
I think you can continue introducing her.
Yeah. Frankie is definitely one of the people who've got me through the last year with my sanity intact. She is better than anyone I've ever met at coming up with a pun on the fly. And probably one of the funniest sights you'll ever see is her face when she's come up with a pun and she's waiting to try and drop it into a conversation, getting more and more desperate. She is incredible at cooking. Fresh pasta making is her speciality. She's fed us many an incredible meal before podcast recording. She absolutely loves true crime as much as I do, or true crime podcasts, not committing crime, and can spout any number of fascinating facts on the topic. In 2020, she's embraced walking to a slightly disturbing degree and regularly goes off for day-long hikes with her husband now. Her favourite walks always seem to take her through graveyards, which I don't think is a coincidence. And overall, she's funny, dark, and like I said, the driving force behind the podcast. So I guess if this next hour is awful, then it's really her fault at the end of the day.
Primarily because it looks like she won't be here.
Yes, she's just abandoned us.
So Sarah.
Oh no.
Sarah is a 48-year-old man who used to be a VJ on UK's MTV. So not really. She's a woman, just like Frankie, except unlike Frankie, Sarah drinks.
Yes.
Now, I know Sarah because she knew how to process expenses, had the keys to the stationery cupboard, and had access to everybody's diary at my previous job. Her passions are Harry Potter, cinema in general, and a hatred of others. During lockdown, she's obviously dialed down cinema trips and really amped up the hatred.
Mm-hmm.
She lives somewhere in England, but it's not near the coast. Is that vague enough, Sarah?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
And she runs occasional seasonal snack reviews.
Yes.
Now, is it occasional in that the seasons come round seasonally, or is it that you're there for every single season?
It's mostly I love Christmas food. So every Christmas, I eat as much as possible. And by reviewing it on social media, it gives me an excuse to buy everything.
And are you stepping into that for Easter again?
I think I might have to, mostly because there's not much else to get us through life at the moment, is there? Other than
No,
food and alcohol, and it's probably about it.
there's an awful lot of focus on the weekly shop.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And when the bins go out, big moment. Unless
Well,
you're
yeah,
small
yeah.
and forget to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. For anyone who tuned in to our last episode, that was a sign that homeschooling and lockdown had really got to me.
It was dark times.
Yeah, obviously, there are people with much bigger concerns during lockdown than I've got at the moment. When it's the bins that have really ruined my week.
There are, but you've had a rough ride of it. Saul has 2 young kids and a lovely wife, but you've had a lot to deal with.
Well,
Working from home, homeschooling.
Yeah, it's been a learning experience. Speaking of learning experiences, have you ever done an episode of this podcast without Frankie present, Sarah?
No, which is a terrifying thought, because as I said, she is the backbone of the podcast. She's the whole skeleton of the podcast.
So let's see if removing her from proceedings actually just adds rocket fuel to the mix, and you and I go on to be doing this live at the O2 before the end of the year.
We'll nail it. I mean, since you've introduced me already, I will go into my bit. So we thought, as part of this live episode, we would run through a few of our, I was going to say favourite idiots, but obviously that's not right. The idiots that most annoy us in life, I suppose. And initially, I had considered doing adults on micro scooters because it's an absolute, I'm angry just thinking about it, but I wasn't convinced I could get kind of 10-15 minutes out of the topic. So broadened my horizons, and I've actually gone back to a topic that we discussed, I think, on the very first episode of our podcast, which is social media idiots. I think part of the issue around this at the moment is that obviously all our social interactions had to go through social media over the last year. So I think people are more active on it. You spend more time looking at it. And also I think everyone's a lot more short-tempered than usual, obviously. I know I have been. So I'm definitely not as tolerant as I'm not tolerant generally, but you know what I mean. Oh, apparently there's a song playing over the top of me at the moment.
This is going well. We can't even hear it, so we can't sing along.
No. Okay, well, I'll just give it a second and see what's going on.
Just pretend we're in a pub, Sarah, and speak really loudly.
As if I can remember what being in a pub's like. Oh no, okay. No, okay, apparently everyone can hear us. Oh my God. Thanks for that, Shah. That was my housemate texting me saying, no one can hear you. There's a song playing over you. You've been cut off. But it turns out my housemate had just disconnected from the live stream.
Wow.
So, yeah, thanks, Charlotte. Back to social media. So, yeah, part of the issue I think around social media idiots is that firstly, you tend to follow people on there that you wouldn't spend much, if any, time with in real life. So, you know, it's people you went to school with, or perhaps ex-colleagues, not pointing at you, Saul, who you probably, well, you wouldn't keep in touch with, but they add you on Facebook or follow you on Instagram, and you're like, yeah, no harm. But the thing is, if someone irritated me in day-to-day life as much as some people that I follow on social media, then I'd just not spend time with them anymore and problem solved. But on social media, it doesn't affect you so much. So I don't know about anyone else, but I tend to keep following people out of this sort of morbid curiosity. The most irritating people are the ones I can't look away from, like car crash TV. And then I think the other issue is that people don't feel the same sense of social rules online as they do in real life. So they feel more free to say things that maybe they wouldn't bring up in kind of face-to-face company. They've got this protection of hiding behind a screen. Especially, yeah, I'm not going to go into that, but especially this year, let's say. So
Yeah.
I think COVID has really highlighted, um, or it's shown me sides of people that maybe I didn't see before. So obviously the biggest COVID idiots are the deniers. I haven't encountered too many of them directly, to be fair, but obviously you see them popping up all over the face. Like these people scream, it's all a scam. The government are trying to control us. Mask refusers, massive pet peeve. And I think of all the ones that have been screaming about COVID, even worse maybe, are the ones that are going on about how humans have brought this on ourselves by what we've done to the planet and it's nature taking its revenge. And yes, massively screwed up the planet, don't get me wrong, but COVID isn't a punishment for that. It's going to come in many other awful ways later. But I feel like
it's wave one of the punishment.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I feel like I've seen quite a lot of that, and I find it harder to understand almost because I think at least the COVID deniers, there's normally a reason behind it. I mean, they're stupid and wrong, but yeah, there's a reason.
Yeah, the thing with people on social media, it used to be that people were anonymous, but quite a lot of the worst posters post under their own name now, but just have that freedom to do so without being checked by a room or have that glance or whatever it is and carry on. And that must be amped up after a year of not having anybody facially respond to them for saying the most daft, the most ignorant stuff.
Yeah, that's true, actually. I hadn't thought about that, but that's a big thing, right? You can't read a response other than a written one when you say these ridiculous things over social media. You can't see how it's being received. And most people, like, I don't call people out for it on Facebook if I see something absolutely ludicrous, because honestly, who can be asked, bothered?
Yeah.
But yeah. And then I think the other thing that's really been highlighted this year is, yes, this year's been absolutely awful. We've all hated it in many ways. But there have been some people who have actually been quite shocked and disappointed by how they've acted with ignoring lockdown and social distancing rules. And I mean, they're even more stupid because there are people out there who aren't going to be following the rules or guidelines, and they are going to be socializing, going in other people's houses. But if you're going to do that, why are you posting it on social media? Why are you showing everyone what you're doing?
Yeah, it's not only that it's Darwinian, and it's like, well, okay, if you want to go and expose yourself, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's also exposing yourself in another way. So if you also want to be thought of in a certain way, go ahead. And those things don't normally go hand in hand. You do a stupid thing, but you're usually aware of how you're perceived, or you think you're aware of how you're perceived. Right now, you're essentially committing two forms of suicide.
Well, exactly. Yeah, completely. And it really annoys me because I'm actually following the rules, as are most people I know, as far as I understand. And it feels a bit like you're just doing it to let other people do whatever they want, which, yeah, I've really brought the tone down. The rest of it isn't quite this heavy.
Based on the way this started, Sarah, you were only ever going to improve things.
Yeah, I've lightened things. Couple of other COVID idiots on social media, though, before I move on to general social media idiots. Companies. There have been some really ridiculous examples of companies completely misunderstanding social media. The big one that I was thinking of earlier when I was thinking about this was PETA. I don't know if you saw, but they did this social media mini campaign, I suppose, about how coronavirus is an anagram of carnivorous. I'm assuming it is. I haven't checked that. And, saying obviously humanity has bought it on itself because they're eating too much meat and blah, blah, blah. It's like these companies, when they jump on a trending hashtag with something that's so wildly inappropriate and they don't realize until they start getting ripped to shreds online.
Yeah. But PETA caught that kind of thing, don't they?
Well, yeah, I will give you that. That's part of their publicity plan, I would imagine. But yeah, it's really shown it's like individuals, isn't it? Wildly off the mark companies and people.
Yeah,
Don't have a clue.
that reminds me of one of the conspiracy theories. Again, we're lowering the tone, not lowering the tone, but bringing everybody down around the 9/11 terrorist attacks, where somebody had, Wingdings, the font.
Mhm.
Somebody had created that elaborate hoax that the plane and the two buildings and the explosion were I can't remember if you translated it out of Wingdings into a normal font, it would say something like the flight number of the plane or whatever it was. It's like, okay, that's not the way language works. They didn't name it coronavirus because people have been eating meat, and the people who name these things love an anagram.
Oh, has someone told Chris Whitty that? Seems like the sort of thing he'd do. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And then the final COVID social media idiot, quarantine show-offs. And I know that I'm being unfair with this one, because I'm just a bit bitter that I've basically wasted the last year by doing nothing for a year. But I think
Yeah.
I think so many of us have just spent the last year trying to survive, basically, and deal with being in this what feels like a constant state of misery, this lack of social interaction, worrying about jobs and finances and kids and the world. So when I see these people posting about like the new skills they've learned or the productive things they've done through lockdown, I get really, really irritated. And in fact, it's not even, I think, the people who are posting about what they've been doing necessarily. It's the ones that try to tie in this inspirational, look, you could be doing all this with your time. You've had a whole year at home. Why aren't you fluent in Spanish? And, to be quite honest, the days I brush my hair at the moment are quite an achievement.
That's where I think, not that LinkedIn is where I choose to spend a lot of my time, but where there's a real schism between exactly that, and it's the kind of startup mentality. Like, there's nobody stopping you from getting out of bed at 4 a.m. and working on your novel before you ring your funders and make sure everybody at X, Y, and Z, and getting to bed at 2 a.m. because you've done a 5-hour workout. And then the complete opposite of that post with people just going, it's fine to cry in the shower. It's fine that you can only find one of your socks. This is a very unusual time, and you're dealing really well.
I've just seen a comment from Matthew. I finally decided to learn to play the grand piano I just have in my living room for show. I'm not sure if it's pointed because I've got a keyboard behind me.
I feel like that is very much a reference to yourself.
Yeah, I'm joking, Matthew. So more generic social media idiots though. Selfie takers. Selfie takers in general, not an issue. I like seeing people's faces, especially at the moment. But it's the constant selfie takers, the ones who post like dozens of photos of themselves in slightly different positions or pouting into the camera, usually with some caption like, felt cute, might delete later, or I've really let myself go during lockdown. And actually, my housemate and I went for a walk yesterday, because God knows that's all you can do at the moment. And there was someone having a full-on photo shoot next to a lake. Like, I didn't understand what was going on because I'm old and out of touch, but apparently she was like doing that thing where you try and touch the sun, and he was like lying on the floor next to the lake trying to get the right angles. Maybe I shouldn't be on social media, but why?
And there was a series of videos when the Black Lives Matter protests were running through the States, of people who had gone out and filmed, like, known Instagrammers who would then go to where a riot had taken place and have their what's the term? Is it an Instagram boyfriend? Is just like the person, your cameraman, your boyfriend goes with you and takes these photos of you.
You are asking
posing
the wrong
poignantly
person
in front of a smashed-in shop or near a sign or whatever, but have absolutely nothing to do with the movement or the protest. They've kind of turned up late to capture the image.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think they go in the idiot column.
Yep, I'll definitely give you that one. Then constant checker-inners. Like, no one cares that you're at home. I hope you are at the moment anyway, or at the park or whatever dull and completely normal place that you're visiting today. if someone really does care where you are every second of the day for some bizarre reason, then why aren't you just texting them? And I mean, the security issues aside, I think it's just absolutely ridiculous. There are a few specific people that I follow that I see checking in constantly, like 6 times a day, wherever they are. And I don't get it. Why?
What does this mean, checking in? Because it sounds like what was the social network that
Foursquare.
started that? Was it Foursquare?
Yeah. I think that's dead now. I don't know. I
Yeah.
never used it. But yeah, it's
But is that
exactly
baked
like
into
that.
other platforms now? I am at.
Yeah, Facebook does it.
I mean, who's been doing that over the last year? I am in the kitchen. I'm on the toilet again.
I mean, that is basically it. I think we're probably one step away at the moment from toilet. If lockdown goes on much longer, I dread to think what will happen. Yeah,
I think for
absolutely
these
ridiculous.
people, there's a real market to offer them with a wearable that posts on social media for them.
That is
So
probably in production at the moment.
I'm stressed. I've just weighed in and I've put on 4 pounds. You don't have to dedicate any of your time to it. It's the Internet of Things. It's just your device talking to your Twitter account.
There's a book about this, The Circle.
Oh yeah. Did
Good
you
book.
see the Netflix?
Yeah, that was terrible.
It was dreadful, wasn't it?
Yeah, the book's much better.
We've now got a Nintendo 8-bit version of Frankie joining us, blinking really slowly. I think she's trying to be seductive.
I love her, but it's not working. Okay.
Now she has no mouth.
Right, we'll let her sort herself out. I've really eaten up quite a lot of time here, so I'm going to skip through a couple of the others that I had. But the final most annoying social media idiot, I think, vague bookers. So I think every person has at least one vague booker in their life who loves to post statuses like, oh my God, why does it always happen to me?
Oh.
Or fuming, can't believe it. Or my
Yeah.
favorite example, as in it annoys me the most because I'm really nosy, it's like the person who loves to check in at a hospital.
Wow.
Oh my, yeah, I've absolutely, there's someone I follow, thankfully I follow quite a few people, so hopefully this isn't too specific, and they're constantly checking in at A&E. It's just incessant. And then inevitably, if someone does ask them what's going on, which does, I think, happen less often nowadays because people have grown a bit sick of it, they'll reply with, don't want to talk about it really, or I'll inbox you, hun. Just
right.
talk to your friends or family directly. Not everything has to go through Facebook with a public audience. It's massively attention seeking.
Yeah, this is why the one-to-one or the one-to-few social networks or tools like WhatsApp exist, right? So you can deal with it on your own speed.
Yep, exactly. So that's my rant. It wasn't actually a funny rant, but I feel better for having unloaded all of this after a year of just muttering to myself about all this stuff. So thanks.
Well, I'm glad that you've helped. I think the comedy highlight of that was Frankie just wandering into the room, not saying anything, and then wandering back out.
It's just like real life, really.
Yeah. I mean, unsurprisingly, my top idiot or worst kind of idiot is also related to coronavirus because what else can we think about at the moment, or what else are we interacting with?
Mm-hmm.
But it's with, I mean, Lord knows we've in the UK we've been through a bit of a year with false starts and plans which didn't quite go as intended. I don't know if anybody remembers Christmas and the U-turns at Christmas, or
I think everyone remembers Christmas.
Yeah, eat out to help out, and the kind of the false starts and the well, we've done it now, and we're robust and we're brave and we've moved forward. The route that we're on now feels sensible. It feels like the people who've been making the decisions haven't believed in evidence unless it's been empirical to them. So they've seen, oh yeah, when we encourage people to go to restaurants, that's really bad for people, so we won't do that again. But they've now got enough data that they're sitting on that they can there's a fairly slow informed plan that we're running through now. The issue. Hello, Frankie. All right, we didn't hear that last bit that you just said.
Hi,
No, we
I'm
heard
here.
that. You're here.
Excellent. You've interrupted Saul.
I'm so sorry. Shall I go?
How dare
Yeah,
you?
if you wouldn't mind, we'll
Leave.
call you in when we're ready for you.
What do you
Sorry,
need?
Saul,
Like
please
half
carry
an
on.
hour notice?
Ideally,
Look.
yeah, apparently.
In this run through to the vaccinations and getting out of lockdown, the people who decide that they've got an issue with the speed at which we're getting there, so they come out and say, and it's normally Tory backbenchers coming out and saying, "Oh, I'm pleased that the signs are good and that the government has put a plan in place, but really shops need to open earlier because people are struggling for income and the British people need a relief and they've struggled through enough, so they need to get out there into the shops." Thinking, well, who are you negotiating with at this point? Because I'm pretty sure the virus isn't listening and going, okay, well, I'll give you shops, but you can't have golf courses until September. And it's that kind of agenda-based against science idiot that I've been struggling with most.
Well, and also, how have you not learned anything from the last year? 3-4 times we've tried to come out of lockdown, gone too fast and ended up in a worse position. Why do you want that to happen again?
Exactly.
So
it's a weird differentiation between the government who are in power and making the decisions and have made the poor decisions and ended up where they are now, and the people who are going, no, make more poor decisions. We liked that period. We liked it when we had to go back into lockdown numerous times.
Yeah, it's great. Remember Christmas? Let's do that for Easter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Light-hearted romp while I've been gone. Then you guys are just talking.
It's been very dark.
I know, we went down a dark alleyway.
We had a 9/11
Wow.
conspiracy theory at one
Oh
point.
Jesus! God,
Yeah,
I
he's not
go
even
away
lying.
I leave you alone for half an hour, and it gets like, oh, blimey. I agree with everything you're saying.
Well, obviously, no, it wasn't. It hasn't been a particularly comedic half an hour. Maybe you should introduce Saul. Maybe that'll help people understand him.
So, apart from being a wild conspiracy theorist, apparently, meet Saul. In case you haven't got the gist of him already, I've got my notes. He is a man. He is quite tall. He lives in Eastbourne with his beautiful wife.
You're going to give out their names and dates of birth.
Yeah, I was going to give his postcode and the names of his children. No, I was just saying because Sarah and I are both a bit in love with Saul's wife. I think she is, we've talked about it before. And he can grow a very impressive beard. He usually shaves it off every year for the spring equinox. Is that still the case?
No, COVID's thrown a real spanner in the works. I don't know if I'm coming or going.
Time has lost all meaning.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. And it's not especially full right now, so you've got a few more months left on that one, I reckon. He likes whiskey, experimental music, quality knitwear, and Copic markers.
You're really selling him.
I think so. These are all of my favourite things about Saul. Ultimately, Saul is the reason why we have been doing the podcast for as long as we have, because when we started it, he said, you won't last more than 2 weeks. And out of spite, pure spite, we're still doing it. And he's here now.
It's been 3 years now.
Which is interesting because I said it out of spite. So spite begets spite, and 2 wrongs make a right.
And look how it's backfired, because now you're involved. So
it's the circle of spite. And Saul used to, I talked about this on our last episode, but Saul used to be my manager when we all worked together. And I knew he was cool because he used to threaten to fire me on a weekly basis and would, just basically berate me all the time and tell me that he never chose to hire me and he looked forward to getting rid of me at the first opportunity. So I guess I respond to people in... Yeah, I respond to men in power treating me badly, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Oh, good. Oh, hi, everyone who's not met me before.
No, obviously, and Saul is one of the funniest people that I know. There you are. How about that?
I'll settle for that. This is not a good week to lead with. This is the man who's treated me really badly.
In a loving way. It's from a place of love. I think
You're
that's
making it worse now, Frankie. You're making it much, much worse.
Saul is one of the good men.
He is.
And he's doing a very good job of replacing Hannah. I don't think we've actually shared Hannah's news yet. So
No.
Hannah has had her baby. They are both,
Yay.
I say they're both beautiful. That makes me sound creepy. Yes,
Well,
little girl
the
called
process
Lily.
didn't help the way Hannah looks.
Harsh.
See, Saul's the nice guy that we were just talking about just now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Hannah is doing well, and the baby's very, very cute. And I don't even know if she'll even want to come back at this point. So we might have Saul full time now.
That's not the way these negotiations work, Frankie.
Just drop it in publicly.
We'll see how it goes. So did I miss Sarah talking it?
You did.
Oh man. What did you go with?
It was really good.
Riveting.
Yeah, I did a solid 20 minutes on micro scooters.
There's so much to say. That doesn't surprise me. I've heard a lot of your content about that before, to be fair.
Exactly. No, I did social media idiots. So, I mean, you know my opinions on them all already.
Yes, there are many, that's for sure.
Yeah, there are.
Shall I tell you mine now?
Yes, please.
Because, and also, I mean, I'm not saying this is a direct attack on Sarah, but it kind of is.
Oh, no.
So just brace yourself.
Love young adult fiction.
No, I could have gone with that as well, actually.
Don't you diss Harry Potter?
Well, because I nearly went for some of the obvious ones, like, you know, you talked about the COVID ones, the social media ones, people that can't get their technology to work for Zoom calls, those kinds of people, just the worst. Racists, all those guys. But I've decided I had to go with what an idiot that truly in my heart breaks my soul on a regular basis. And that's people that mistreat books.
Oh, no.
And yeah, so sorry, Sarah, I'm going to call you out now publicly.
I don't mistreat books. I use books as they are intended to be used.
To that, shall we? Because basically, the way I see
it, well, that's a relief.
You're not supposed to break their spines, right?
Of course you are. It's a book. It's to be read.
No. Here's why. You wouldn't buy a new phone and go, well, I'm just going to snap it in half. You wouldn't buy a new top and be like, I'm just going to tug at the seams a bit. Buy a book. Spend money on it. You want to keep it nice and present it.
No, there's nothing better than like a well-read, loved book with cracks in the spine and pages folded over and like, you know, scribbled notes.
You saying all those things has made me feel very, very sick. No, because you want to keep them nice so they last a really long time and you can keep them forever. Saul, what are your thoughts on this?
Why do you want to keep it forever?
Because why would I buy it otherwise? Or, you know, give it to someone else or lend it to someone or whatever. Just keep it nice.
Does it harm the words that were within the book?
Sometimes. If you
That's a very vague response.
If you're reading them in the bar and they get all waterlogged. Yeah,
but the words are fine. The words are still readable. The only thing of value in a book are the words.
Yes.
It's like you
I also think it's a
your analogy of would you buy a top and rip it in half?
That would ruin it.
Of course you would.
I said pull the seams. Pull the seams.
Details. Would you buy a top from, I'm assuming, Peacocks?
Yeah, obviously. All my
one of those collared shirts in a bag, and then every time you'd stopped wearing the shirt, fold it exactly as it had been given to you, pop it back in the cellophane bag, and close the cellophane bag, and then put it in your cupboard.
No, but I would try and keep it as nice as I could for as long as I could and maintain its quality to the best of my ability.
Doesn't it ruin the reading experience for you though? Because like you're surely kind of peering down between the pages so you don't crack the spine. And
Well, I don't think I peer down at anything. Like a
sometimes,
little hunchback.
I think I've told you this before, Frankie. Sometimes when you lend me books, I get so
Mhm.
frightened that I might crease the spine or something that I will buy the book on my Kindle so that I can read it without risking your copy, and then very carefully return it to you afterwards.
You're not the first person to have told me that they've done that. And I'm
No.
actually, I'm extra amused because you have one of my books at the moment.
Yeah, I do. Frightened to read it.
No, it's to me just kind of common sense, especially if you're borrowing. I appreciate your fear because it's rightly placed, because I remember I lent a book to a friend of mine once and he came back from his holiday with it and went, here you go. And it looked like it had been like, I don't know, chewed, put through a waste disposal unit. I'm horrified.
I've got a theory on this one.
Okay.
You're an idiot. If you feel that way about books, stop lending them to people.
Yeah.
Well, it's that difficult thing of wanting to preserve the sanctity and the beauty of the book versus like in sharing the beauty of books with people and the words within. As you say, the words were the value.
All made up problems, Frankie. These are all problems that exist in your head.
Don't you have bigger problems, Frankie?
No, I know my life's essentially perfect other than this, so I wouldn't know about real problems. Yeah, and also, as Sarah pointed out, most people when I try to lend them books now won't take them from me.
Yeah,
they know.
yeah, you're stopping people from reading. You're making the world a more stupid place.
Well, the only books I concede on that I'm not fastidious about keeping them nice are recipe books. Porn, yeah, well, I keep those in plastic cellophane, keep them wiped clean. But I also, recipe books and textbooks, I don't care about those. I think recipe books, you're cooking, you're going to get like food on them, whatever, that's fine. And stands, I have mine in a stand. And textbooks, it makes it easier, I understand. But everything else, keep your books nice.
I want at this point to make a slight diversion. And when we pointed out to Sarah that she had a keyboard in the background,
Frankie's got Baywatch.
She felt it would pull less attention to the keyboard if she removed the music book that was on the stand.
Yeah, which I would just like to say has a massively cracked spine.
But that's okay, because that to me is like a textbook kind of thing. That's a functional book. But for books that
So you don't read books in the bath, Frankie? I
do, but I'm very careful with them.
Well, you don't have a hot, steamy bath then?
No, I have a freezing cold bath with a tiny
to protect the sanctity of the book.
You're missing out on one of life's great privileges.
Just dry your hands. Don't get the book near the water.
No, forget your hands. The level of steam that you need from a proper leg cooking bath will curl your pages. And that's not a euphemism.
Leg cooking?
Yeah, where your thighs turn proper bright red.
I mean, I try not to give myself third-degree burns when I bathe, but maybe that's where I'm going wrong.
Bath, yeah.
I've also just seen that Matt, I presume from Pickadisk, has said, what are page corners if not meant to be folded to keep track of where you are? And that hurts my heart. Because Matt, you get a bookmark.
Oh, who can be bothered with a bookmark?
Frankie, where do you get your bookmarks from?
I got a really nice one recently from Etsy.
So you've got out.
My life's perfect.
Yeah, I remember when I didn't have any children.
Hey, I don't have children. I'm not a loser like Frankie.
Yeah, Sarah has books instead, but she just mistreats them horribly. So what does that say?
Like I would. The
weird bit about that, Sarah, though, is that you could lend your books to my children.
Yes, without stressing, though. So
I wouldn't borrow books from Sarah because they will be very dark in nature, based on what I know she reads.
They'll be what?
Dark in nature. They're all about murder.
Oh, sorry, you cut out slightly, and I was worried about what you'd accused me of.
What, me? Technical issues? Surely not.
No, who'd have thought?
Shall I tell you some of our reader submissions that we've had?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so we put a call out on our social channels asking for people to say the biggest kind of idiot, the idiot of the year, basically, the genre of idiot that has pissed or annoyed people, the most.
Can I just ask, are all the responses about people mistreating their books?
Weirdly, not a one.
Oh my goodness.
Well, a lot of very stupid people out there, I guess. What can I say? So there is a theme, I would say, throughout these. You're not going to be surprised. You may have even talked about it while I've been gone. So we'll see. Definitely people who wear masks but don't cover their noses.
Oh my God, yes.
It's frustrating as hell. And in shops as well. I mean, they know they're doing it, right?
Yeah.
I hope so. I picked up the wrong mask the other day, and it was much smaller than my mask.
Is it one of the kids' ones?
No, it wasn't one of the kids' ones.
It's a wrestling mask.
My nose. But I felt very, very. I felt like I was living quite dangerously, and that a half inch either way, and I would have been exposed. And I thought briefly, this must be what it's like to wear a Speedo at the beach, like constantly on edge. I'm not in control of all the variables here, and if something goes slightly east, there's going to be a showdown.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because Keena also said that type of mask-related thing, saying the nose hanging out over it is almost phallic. So that kind of fits with your analogy there.
Maybe that's the issue. Maybe guys are just trying to show off whatever they can in these COVID times.
What, to attract a mate?
It only work if your top lip looks like a pair of balls.
I mean, some do.
No judgment here. Like, we love people no matter what they look like. I guess if you've got a really good nose, it's a shame to have to cover it up. But it's not. It is what it is. Caroline, who has also written some great comments in this chat feed, says, any group that insists on filling a path, going single file is null for your relationship.
Yes. Yeah. Can't agree with it more.
Saul, I have to ask you this: as a man with a family, when you go out, are you conscious of that kind of thing? Because I know a lot of families.
Tuck in on that scooter. That's what all my walks consist of.
Go for the ankles.
Yeah. Stand on the road. That's me talking to my kids.
Get in front of that car. Yeah, quite right. Yeah, I've definitely risked my life so that people can hold hands on the path. Like, why?
That's such a romantic, frankly.
Yeah, that's it. I just keep the love alive. Another one from On the Topic podcast, our friends over there, they have said, COVIDiots, all forms of Bill Gates chipping us to anti-maskers. Absolute. I'm not going to say the swear word he said, but it's something puffins. We know the one.
Yeah, I had that rant earlier.
I missed it.
Agree. You did miss it. Yeah, completely agree.
I must have zoned out. I don't remember your rant about puffins.
Oh yeah, it was, I think, at the 6-minute mark.
Okay, I'll tune back in later.
Re-listen. We're going to post this for everyone to listen to that missed it.
I don't think we are.
People.
Well,
I think so.
The first half an hour probably was way better without me there, so I'm looking forward to hearing it. Another submission from some girl called Hannah, I don't know if we know her, said runners, all runners.
Isn't Hannah a runner?
Self-hating.
That is the most Hannah comment I've ever heard. Now that I can't run, I hate everybody who runs.
Do you know what? I hate cyclists at the moment more than runners.
Oh, interesting.
To be fair, I don't think they can win. We've got quite a busy road near us, which is really hard to overtake on, but there is a cycle path on the pavement. But people still constantly cycle on the road. It's become an annoyance every time I go out, let's say. At least runners, you know where they are.
I find as well that runners, for the most part, because they're trying to maintain speed, they will run in the road. They're quite happy to get out the way and leave the walkers holding hands, not in single file on the path. So
Yeah.
I don't know what Hannah's problem is, basically. I'm glad she's not on the podcast anymore.
She probably
I'm glad we've
probably
got someone.
that just after she'd been in a race and lost badly.
Pregnancy race of some kind, maybe. And the last one I've got here, and controversial perhaps, but you know, why not? How about the one running the country? Is that a valid answer? She puts.
I don't think that's controversial, not with this audience anyway.
No, not with us, but you know.
I mean, it's a very nuanced take.
Oh, well, yeah, true. I'm not sure we can give Boris credit for that. Yeah, I agree with all of those.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty aligned. But which is the worst kind, though? Probably the ones actually endangering people's safety and lives, right? I would say, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's the people who are doing that for the slimmest of reasons. For the you can't tell me what to do. This is a free country narrative. It's like, yeah, it's still a free country. You can still get your shopping delivered.
Yeah, and also I think if you're going to have some wild, ridiculous opinion, at least have done some research to back it up, even if your research is wrong. But quite often it's just people wanting to have the opposite opinion to someone else, or they've read something someone posted on Facebook.
Oh, that reliable news source Facebook that we all know and love.
Yeah, exactly. Ask the Australian government.
I also think a lot of it is people just can't be asked, and they don't want to wear a mask. They don't want to, so they just think it's easier to say, "Oh no, it's not because I don't want to, or because I don't care about other people. It's because, you know,
my human rights."
Yeah, got exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No one enjoys wearing a mask, for God's sakes.
No. Tell that to all the NHS staff that have to wear them for like 10-hour, 12-hour days.
Oh, and they're known for spending all day bitching about, moaning about it.
On a cold day, on the school run, I'll leave my mask on after I've left the school just to keep the face warm.
Oh,
because
good
your beard's
tip.
not fully grown yet. You need the extra. Yeah.
Do you struggle with the beard and a mask? Not at the moment, obviously, but have you had a fuller beard?
Not like technically. It looks weird
because it's all sprouting out at the sides.
It feels like I should have. Yeah, exactly. I should have a more all-encompassing mask that just contains all of the beard.
A Speedo.
Like a hairnet for the chin.
Like a beekeeper's mask.
I'd love that.
It'd be weird ordering an Eccles cake wearing a beekeeper's mask.
Yeah. I think that's where your mind went to straight away. That's what you're our people, Saul. This is good.
Lockdown priorities, Frankie. It's all about the food.
Flaky pastry.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of minutes left, and then I think we're going to be kicked out. I'm actually relieved in a way that you didn't have to put up with me for the whole time. But
well, it's definitely picked up since you got here, Frankie. I think the
got lighter.
The audience will attest to that.
Well, I still made
people's attention to an article that was in the Guardian earlier this week on Thursday.
Oh, please.
And this might become a frequent spot in the podcast, but it's about the international idiots and the fact that in Lagos in Nigeria, the term Dundee United can be used to call somebody an idiot. And the article's great, and it goes into a couple of different theories around why that would be the case, but it lands on a 1970s trip to West Africa that Dundee United, the football club, took that was dreadful, and they got absolutely, as a professional club, they got absolutely hammered, culminating in a 4-1 smashing by a team called Stationery Stores. On that trip. It's a great article. It's worth having a look at. But my favourite takeaway from it was that it's evolved over time, and it would appear that Dundee United is the term used to refer to a group of idiots, and a Dundee is a singular idiot.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So for
Thank you.
When you
those who do contact us over the social media platforms, if you have international experience of being called an idiot, please get in touch. Let us know what you did that led up to it and what the actual phrase was.
I
Yes,
assume the only
definitely.
person we'll hear from will be Hannah from her various holidays that she's been on.
Every single holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
Hope
you
kept the list.
introduced it, when you introduced it saying international idiots, I was like, this is just going to be an attack on Hannah for the last however many years she's been going on holiday.
That is the stamp in her passport, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tex has already dropped in the Sugar Babes reference, which we have already accepted. It is that Sarah is the mutya of this group, and she's next one out. I'm Heidi, and Frankie will
I'm
be
Keisha.
here until about a month before she drops out, and then she'll reform the original lineup anyway.
Yeah, I'll be bitter ends, trying to keep my hold with my cold, dead hands.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Sorry about our technical issues, but hopefully
thank you.
it was worth it.
And thank you, SuperPod, for having us back, even after last year when we had Hannah. That was really nice of you to invite us back. And
Everyone,
thanks for doing
please
it with us all.
Thank you.